Hi, my name is Lloyd Norman with Prosymmetry. We're the developers of Tempus Resource. Today, I'm going to be discussing how capacity planning creates actionable, scaled, agile transparency. I appreciate you guys joining me for this discussion. I'm going to start by popping out to the scaledagileFramework.com site. Regardless of which configuration you may be interested in pursuing here. And if you haven't spent time on the site, I would encourage you to look around. There's phenomenal information here, lots of it relative to best practices and the SAFe framework, generally speaking. But if you just click on the core values, this is what I'm going to be discussing today. There's 4 of these. Today's video is the first of 4 that I'll be producing, where I'll be talking about how resource capacity planning is foundational to each one of these, focusing today on, in fact, transparency. What I'm talking about today is actually germane to hybrid and waterfall portfolios as well, but of course, I'll be delivering that through a Scaled Agile framework perspective today. There's actually 20 unique references on scaledagile.com to the benefits of capacity planning. It's needed to visualize all relevant work, coordinate shared services, especially with entities like compliance, audit, regulatory, and legal. Some wonderful articles out here as well about accelerating flow, and happy to send you those links. Just let me know. All right, so let's talk about actionable transparency. What is that? What does that really mean? Really, actionable transparency, it allows you, it facilitates the driving of timely, data-driven decisions that improve strategic execution. The only way that you can do that is if you're doing effective capacity planning, because it's resources that gate delivery. And it doesn't matter whether you're bringing work, to people, which is really an agile kind of a paradigm, if you will, or vice versa, people to work, which is sort of waterfall, or some combination of that in a hybrid perspective. You need to be able to tie your people back up to the work that they're doing through those strategic themes, so that you can track how your strategic execution is actually occurring or how it's planned to occur. But vertical alignment and transparency won't cut it. You've got to look at the horizontal component of this as well. You need to be able to look by role, by team, by skill set at what are my dependencies? How are we deploying our people, whether they are organized into teams or not? Relative to our priorities, our costs, how are those costs being accounted for? Are they being distributed across value streams or across programs or both? What are my retention risks? If I have people that are over allocated with unique skill sets, that's a huge risk to the company overall. Why are we doing that? Have we been doing that in the past? And will the floggings continue, so to speak? What are our skills gaps, if you will? What are our delivery risks? All of those, from a horizontal perspective, are just as important as being able to align your work top to bottom. Not that top to bottom is not important. We need to be able to look at our portfolio Kanban and see how that work is planned to break down at a program level and a team level relative to delivering actual features and capabilities. All right. Roadmaps. Let me talk about that for a minute as well, because product managers are key to this. They need to make sure that their roadmaps are, in fact, tied to resource capacity. Otherwise, they're just going to be promoting what they want to deliver as opposed to what they can actually deliver. This is why capacity planning is so prominent and SAFe. And out on the ScaledAgileFramework.com site, there's so many references to it, because it's how you actually coordinate work across arts, roles, shared services, and internal business partners. It's how you set reasonable cost and delivery expectations with your executives. It's how you continuously and effectively adapt to changing business conditions, because if you can't tell how your people are allocated, how are you going to know what the effect is of pushing features on one art, how that effect cascades downstream to other work that they were committed to, or other work that the work that they're pushing, how that's affecting your CapEx costs and those sorts of things, right? It all starts with resource capacity planning, transparency. So let me take you out and let's look at just a couple of different views here that I think will be helpful to set perspective before I wrap this. If, for example, you're a release train engineer, or in fact, a resource manager. You want to be able to look at your teams or your people, if you will, by role, and be able to, in a single view, say, hey, why is it that I see over allocations here? What are key project milestones that I'm not able to see? Oh, we've got a kickoff here. Well, we need to fix this before kickoff, right? Those sorts of things. If in fact you're a portfolio manager, you might be more interested in a view that shows strategic themes tied to priorities, tied to work types. What kind of operational enhancements am I doing that are critical to cost reduction? And why do I have so many teams and people that are over allocated here? It's a reasonable question. And this is a good starting point, making sure that there's visibility across the enterprise as to how our people are planned on being deployed, whether they're in teams or not. If I am a project manager, wouldn't it be nice to be able to have teams of different velocities from different arts planned side by side on a common timeline with role requests and people? And again, to be able to see in a single view, why do I have all this red out here? Look, they're not over allocated on my project. They're only 50% allocated here. What is the resource manager doing that's got these people over allocated that could in fact affect my delivery timelines? This is the kind of data that is actionable, that allows people to go out and have the right discussions so that they can mitigate these types of delivery risks before they become issues. Okay. Lastly, I will show real quick, some over allocation information. This is typical of roadmap planning. You should be able to have data-driven roadmaps that are tied to not only WIP limits like this, but over allocation information as well. So again, it's actionable transparency that continuously drives timely data-driven decisions that improve strategy execution. The only way that you can get that kind of data is if you are in fact doing effective capacity planning. It's entirely germane to safe scaled agile delivery, just as it is for waterfall or hybrid delivery as well. Okay, the next video in this series, we will in fact be discussing the next in the series of core values, which is alignment. If you have questions about what we talked about today, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you again for joining. Please look out on the prosymmetry.com website for the next in this series of videos. Hope to see you then. Thank you for your time. Bye now.